Let me see the palms of your hands.
Oh, yes, I see a long journey in your future. During which you will become a small, dark stranger.
Your cell structure's taking the nitrogen. The transfer should go smoothly.
How long until I begin to sound like that?
Oh, I'm due at my microbial genetics seminar. You lie here and rest, huh? For at least an hour.
Okay.
Al, I've been avoiding this, but... you better begin winding up your activities and decide how best to arrange your death. Right.
There is nothing wrong with your podcatcher. Do not attempt to pause it. Welcome to a private recording about 3 separate anthology series, each a masterpiece in its own way. This is the dimension of gushing. It is an area we call the Sci-Fright Zone.
Welcome to the Sci-Fright Zone, where 2 fans of anthology series go for the Outer Limits, Night Gallery, and the Twilight Zone. I'm Diana.
And I'm Alisha.
We're finally back to the Outer Limits for an episode that contains no galaxy beings or racism, so that's a nice change.
Yeah, it certainly is.
We have The Architects of Fear, first aired September 30th, 1963, and it was written by Maya Dolinsky and directed by Brian Haskin. I'll just note that this is the same director as 100 Days of a Dragon, which we watched earlier.
Ah.
I think we both praised that episode for a lot of its cinematography and...
This episode had a lot of that too.
And we get to see it without racism, which is great.
Woo! Yeah, it's nice to watch a good episode without the racism.
Now, in a pretty unique twist for the series, there's absolutely no opening segment here. It just starts with the control voice taking over our TV. They were kind of experimenting a bit here, where, the first few episodes had, a prologue introducing what the episode would be about. We saw the evil Asians in the previous episode before the title screen happened.
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying what they did.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing with that sentimentality.
The past is not our fault.
I would say the Americans were evil in that episode, and it's still true today.
Yep. It's sad how little has changed.
This episode just straight away goes straight to the title screen, and I think this might be the only time. Going forward, the people running the show were kind of worried that people wouldn't want to stick through the show. So what they do later on is they'll show, a segment towards the end of the episode where there's, a big monster doing attacks or something. And they'll put that at the very start of the episode. So then you'll know that you have to stick around to see the cool monster. And you just have to get through, the half an hour of talking and stuff.
Yeah. I think the just hard cut starting with the control voice intro is, way cooler, though. Because,
Yeah, it's so much better, but...
Yeah, in the fiction, it's supposed to be, they're taking over your TV, right? So, why would there be a preview?
TV audiences didn't want to watch TV unless it had a cool monster.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I get that, but...
And I will say that this episode has one of the coolest monster designs you'll ever see.
Yeah, this guy was sick. He's such a good little weirdo.
And there's multiple little weirdos in this episode, technically.
Yeah, that's true. I could not have predicted what this episode was going to be about, though. I'm sure I was extremely off.
You were slightly closer than you give yourself credit for. You did say something like there's an Illuminati-type organization controlling the world, something like that. So...
Yeah, and that was kind of, sort of what happened.
I think they were working for the government, but in a sect of the government where most of the government didn't know about it. This is some X-Files type shit.
Yeah, doing secret underground science stuff.
Yeah, in a nice lab that people's wives have access to.
Oh my god, that was so dumb. That's one of the things I'm gonna bitch about, so...
But once again, this is like 60 years ago. We didn't have regulations until people broke, the trust. So
That's true.
I'm sure during the Manhattan Project, they'd take their kids to see everything, and they'd just do whatever. And then someone had to do something wrong, and that's why airport security is the way it is now.
Somebody had to get just dangerously irradiated or something.
We start the episode with a very bleak opening, where it shows footage of lots of missiles and people running away from them. Lots of presumably stock footage, or footage from like other movies and TV shows I'm not familiar with, because they wouldn't have paid for all that.
Yeah, I was about to say that looked a little out of their budget.
Yeah, and you can tell all the budget went into the creature design for this episode.
Oh god, yeah. 100%.
But the voiceover says, and I quote, "Is this the day? Is this the beginning of the end? There is no time to wonder, no time to ask, why is it happening? Why is it finally happening? There is time only for fear, for the piercing pain of panic. Do we pray, or do we merely run now and pray later? Will there be a later, or is this the day?" Little kids watching this, and this was kind of considered like a kid's show back in the day.
Was it?
Well, kids and adults. This is science fiction, and like the reviews back in the day, and I'll get into this later, but the reviews back in the day for The Outer Limits were like, oh, this is like a show for like little kids, because they like aliens and grown men like taxes.
Yeah, I know sci-fi wasn't extremely highly thought of back then, I guess. Or pulpy sci-fi stuff.
I believe the people making the show intended it for, if not adults, at least for like a wide range of people, but people were dismissive of it at the time. People would expect like little 10-year-old Timmy to watch this, and they just instantly get greeted by their mortality, which was a very real fear in 1963.
Right? Just make everyone shit themselves, jeez.
There's no ifs or buts of that. If they are basically saying, you basically have to run away and pray later if there is a later.
It's pretty heavy.
So yeah, that's a fun opening. It's a bit more dramatic than face molding plasticity.
Yeah. It felt more like, I don't know, I don't want to keep comparing the two, but it felt like they were going for more of like a Twilight Zone vibe.
Yeah, no, it was... Both shows were cut from the mold of, the Cold War isn't really great, is it? So, there's lots of parallels.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be fucked up if this happened? Like, this is definitely a wouldn't it be fucked up if this happened episode.
Exactly, and thankfully, this was the last war. There were no wars in, like, the reboots for the 80s and 90s, or the Twilight Zone in the 2000s, or even the one a decade ago. It's been nice and peaceful, so...
It's all done. War to end all wars. 2.
This footage is actually shown in universe to this group of shadowy men that are all in suits. Thankfully, there is diversity. There's one black man and one Asian man. Yep. So, they don't really talk, but they're there.
They do not talk.
Yeah, even, for the 60s, that was still probably a big deal.
Probably, yeah. Especially going from what the last episode was about to...
This is the No Hard Feelings episode. They didn't hate all Asian people.
We like the good ones.
Yeah, this one was born in America because his dad was a POW or something. They mention that on Monday a near miss occurred, and it is the 4th such incident since the thermonuclear age began. Unlike today, they are in peril that the world will be destroyed. Because madmen are controlling the world and doing whatever they feel like.
Yeah, don't gotta worry about that anymore.
They need nations to unite, so they will make them unite, which is a really cool concept.
It is.
And one that, I don't know if this is the first to do it, but it is certainly not the last.
No, like when we get to what the episode is going to be about, when it's clear, I'm like, oh, I wonder if, Alan Moore liked this episode, because...
Okay, good. I am not familiar with The Watchmen, but a friend of mine watched this episode for the first time and basically said, oh, this is Watchmen. So...
Yeah, it's Watchmen.
Yeah.
That's the plot of Watchmen. But I mean, it's a really good idea, you know. I've only read a little bit of it.
I need to read it. Yeah, I've seen this episode, so I've basically read the comic.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Now, this group shows a small little box that's making a weird noise.
I love this little guy.
And a man asks, "Is it one of us who must submit to that ordeal?" And they say that in history, people stopped fighting each other in order to extinguish a shared threat. So what this group wants to do is they're going to create an alien and have it invade so everyone attacks it and not each other. And someone in this room is going to be forcibly transformed into an alien through scientific horrors.
And how did they decide who's going to undergo this horrible procedure? They pull names out of a little pot.
Yeah, and, like, it's nice and fair. When I was watching the audio commentary for this, one of the guys joked, "Oh, what if they all wrote that guy's name on here?"
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's what I was thinking.
See, I trusted them.
What if they just wrote the name of the guy who sucks the most?
No, I trusted them.
You believed in the integrity.
Yeah, no, I thought this shadowy board of men that want to lie to the entire planet, I trusted them.
But I'm like, I don't know, like, why not make, like, the oldest person do it or some shit? Like, when are these guys, like, super old?
Because I have no thoughts of my own, I'll just once again say, the audio commentary said it's weird they even had old people in the pool for this, because you'd think you'd need someone young and able-bodied to withstand the amount of torture they're going to go through.
Yeah, that's a good point. I figured that's why, but it's like, if they were in the drawing...
Because this guy's going to go through so much bullshit.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, for little 10-year-olds to watch.
This weird body horror.
If you ever wanted to have, organs removed and replaced with poison.
Yeah, your blood turned from oxygenated to nitrogen.
Someone in this group basically says, medical personnel, like, if they had an alien and the alien was defeated, someone could, like, dissect it and realize, this is just a man made to look like an alien. And they say, nope.
Yeah.
We have a perfect plan. We are going to do fucked up surgery. And make it, like, a perfect recreation of an inhabitant from planet Theta. They never mention, like, how they know about planet Theta or, like, the history behind it. And I kind of love that it's like you're dropped in a world where a group of shadowy men know the planet Theta exists and can recreate it.
Well, they never really explain the little guy in the box either. I mean, I know he's probably from the planet, so that's how they got this information, right? Like,
almost certainly, yes.
Or, like, was it or was it a previous experiment where they, like, I don't know, turned a monkey?
That's another theory. Once again, I'm not smart enough to interpret things at anything other than base level, so when I watched it, I was thinking, that's the alien.
Yeah, I thought it was an alien.
Once again, listening to the audio commentary, the guy was convinced that this was an Earth chimp that they did the experiment on before doing it to humans, which is also fucked up.
Yeah, for real.
I guess we don't need to know. It's just
so, it's so monkey-shaped, and then they cut from, like, the little creature.
And the script says it's, like, monkey-ish.
Yeah, either way, it's fucked up. But yeah, how did they get that information? Who knows? If they do have a little alien, how'd they get the little alien?
And if this was a 2-hour movie, maybe we'd get all that info, but they wanted to show us a man in horrible pain instead.
Yeah, yeehaw.
Which I respect them for. You don't get, primetime body horror anymore.
We really don't. Yeah, this is pretty intense.
Yeah, it's a dark episode. So, the creature in the box is of some sort, has alien DNA in it. But, it doesn't matter how, it does. Everyone in the room wrote their names on, pulled it out, and the winner was decided to be Alan Layton. He's going to have every organ in his body changed.
Yeah, I do not understand how anyone would be expected to survive this procedure. I know it's like, oh, it's future science, but yeah, like, I don't think that's how the human body works.
I mean, I haven't tried this. Maybe this is 100% like... we can get Mythbusters in to show what can really happen. At what point would a human die during this?
Come on, Mythbusters.
Yeah, but this...
It's probably ethical.
If you get someone you don't like, it might be.
Like Alan, apparently.
Thankfully, because we have a whole board of people, and most of them don't have to talk. So, we have Alan,
Yeah.
and the guy that did most of the talking thus far is going to be his doctor for the rest of the episode. So, we have his doctor, Philip Gaynor, and despite being the one to, like, introduce this whole concept, he is actually really worried about the procedure. Probably because he, probably because now that he has to do it, it's not speculative, it's horrible.
Yeah, now it's go time.
Alan was fine and ready for this, but if you couldn't believe it, he's got a wife, and this is going to complicate things.
What the fuck? I feel like if you have, like, a wife or a family, you should be able to opt out.
Well, I feel like they all had wives and families because it was the 60s.
Well, yeah, true.
You can't be old and not be married, otherwise you'll be a gay. Like, any of the people in that room would have equally had, some kind of attachment keeping them there.
Yeah, true.
And maybe he was even more justified because he didn't have kids and his wife was probably infertile or something.
Oh, so, yeah, his life is inherently less valuable.
Yeah, his life doesn't mean anything. And when he's getting his first syringe put into him, we can hear his wife calling out. And after this syringe, he and his wife, go outside to the nearby shopping strip right next to this secret lab. And she is window shopping at From Here to Maternity.
A great name for a maternity store, by the way. Adorable.
Yeah, and she really wants a baby. They've been trying for a baby, and now it seems like she can finally have them.
It was something with her heart. Like, she had a heart murmur, but the doctor was like, oh, y'all better now. I think that's what it was. I guess that's how that works. I have no idea.
The point is, they were struggling to have a kid, and now it seems like having a kid is possible, or recommended, or whatever the procedure.
Mm-hmm.
He's not stuck with a wife that isn't having kids. He's now going to have a kid, and yeah, that makes his whole turning into an alien, great.
Perfect timing. Yeah. And he, like, he's acted sketchy about it because gonna be turned into an alien, and he's like, what would you do if you had to raise this baby alone? And it's like, dude.
Great thing to say to your wife.
Right? Like, she's gonna think you're gonna skip town and not get turned into an alien.
I mean, that's probably the second most likely theory.
Yeah.
If Josh ever said that he was gonna, if how would you feel if, you had to take care of yourself? It probably means he's becoming an alien.
Yeah, well, at least now I know where I should check first. The lab right down the street from the shopping center.
Yeah. Like, I love this episode, and you only have so much time to put so much stuff in, like, an hour-long TV episode. But it's just fascinating how quickly things happen, and how unsubtle he is.
Right? Like, dude, you are telegraphing so hard that you're about to fucking eat it.
He gets even worse later, where he's like, no, you aren't allowed to follow me.
Yeah. Like, she's gonna think you're going to see your second family. Like,
And thankfully, that's not what happened. He didn't cheat, he just turned into an unlovable monster.
yeah. So, nothing to worry about.
So, after the maternity store, Alan is, once again, most of this episode is Alan having procedures done to him, and I'll say that a lot. It'll cut from something to this. And this time, the procedure he's going through is he is in a box to simulate the pressure of 7 atmospheres. This should have killed him.
Yeah, it does not look like he's having a good time.
So, he saw his wife, and was able to basically pass this human, still, because he'd only had a syringe. But now they're already like, okay, things are getting too fucked up, we have to fake your death, because this really can't go on any longer, you're gonna stop being human-like.
Yeah, she's gonna smell something.
Yeah, and you didn't want to say that he ran off with his other family. No, they want him to have an honorable death.
Mm-hmm.
So Alan and his wife, Yvette, they have one last night together. And he's saying that he has to leave for Peru. But he's also like, you know, we need humanity to unite against an enemy and stay united after that enemy is defeated. Which is really subtle.
Yeah, it's like, I'd be like, what the fuck are you going on about? What?
You're just going to Peru.
Yeah.
What's it have to do with this?
Yeah, and she's like, so you mean like a scarecrow? We need a scarecrow.
For what it's worth, I have heard, like, theories that, like, maybe this is when she got pregnant. Because they spend, like, the night together, and he's already got some of that alien DNA in him, so... Do you think there's going to be a little fucked up hybrid baby?
No, I was thinking about that when I watched the episode, because I mean, I kind of just assumed they were implying that's when she got pregnant.
All we know is she is definitely pregnant later, and earlier it was said that she could get pregnant.
Yeah.
So it could have happened any time between then and this point.
Yeah, the timeline is kind of weird, because she's not... Were they just not allowed to show women being visibly pregnant? Like, they did on I Love Lucy.
Yeah, I don't know if they had the budget for a pregnancy. They had to put everything into the alien.
All you gotta do is put a pillow under there, like...
As someone who hasn't done this level of turning a man into an alien, I would assume this would take,
Sure.
you know, many months, maybe the better part of a year.
Yeah. But, like, she's not showing at all. So, like, has it only been, like, a month? Because that seems pretty insane.
Yeah, that's the least realistic thing about this plot.
Right? I want to know the alien man transformation timeline. Come on.
Maybe if she got pregnant with alien DNA, it's a different, different system.
Oh, yeah, maybe. But yeah, she can have a fucked up little alien baby.
And then they can use that to destroy the world.
Yeah, there you go. You'll get a second chance at it.
You just have to teach the baby how to fly into, Washington, D.C. But yeah, after their night together, Alan is going to the airport to go to Peru, and his wife wants to go with him to say goodbye. A very normal thing that you should have expected.
Yes.
And he basically says, no, I don't want you to, do that, because then you'll have to come back on your own, and that would be dangerous.
I'd worry about you.
At what point were women allowed to go on their own?
Yeah, right?
This doesn't feel very 1963 to me.
No, I mean, women could drive themselves or get a taxi, like...
He's very protective. At least seemingly very protective. Really, he doesn't want her to see that he's not going to the airport, he's going to the secret lab he goes to every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is maybe the worst place to do your experiment if she knows about it.
Right? Like, the whole time I was like, why are you guys doing it here? Like, why aren't you doing it in a lab somewhere else, like, hidden?
Yeah, especially since he doesn't have to, like, return home or anything. So it's not like distance really matters. And I'm sure all the other doctors can get a few months away and all say they're going to Peru or something.
Yeah, but I guess nobody wanted to commute farther or something, so...
But no, it's good for our sake that this episode basically has, like, 4 locations. There's the lab. Mm-hmm. There's the maternity store, the house, and what we'll see later as the kind of swampish area, which is probably the same one they did the hunting in the previous episode. And you will see a lake that looks just like that in many more episodes. The show really likes to use that location. That and a dirt road, surrounded by some trees. They will basically become the outer limits to you. You'll see them every fucking time.
I mean, gotta use what you got.
But at the secret base that, people just know about, they discuss building the UFO with materials from Planet Theta. Once again, we just have access to that.
Well, I think they, were able to synthesize materials that could be from Planet Theta. I think that's what it was.
And it's worth noting that if you Google the word Planet Theta, it has a different meaning nowadays. Because Planet Theta is a video game on Steam that is the world's first virtual reality dating app.
Oh.
So there we go.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Like, I was looking up online if, like, Planet Theta was one of those, you know, fictional science fiction planets that had been used in other media, or if this was, like, a speculative science thing, or anything. Like, why they came up with the name Planet Theta. I don't know why they picked that name, but I know someone else picked that name for a dating game, so...
I'm assuming they just picked a science fiction-y sounding word and were just like, perfect.
Now I'm happy to know that Planet Theta lets you go on weeks worth of first dates in only a couple of hours. You can take a walk through an enchanted forest or watch a movie together.
Wow, I mean, the future is now.
Oh, it's not even out yet.
Oh no!
It's only coming soon on Steam.
Planet Theta developers, if you're listening to this, and you definitely are, pick up the pace, come on.
Philip, the Dr. Philip Gaynor, he goes to Alan's wife, Yvette, and says, oh, his plane crashed and he died. And she's in denial for multiple reasons, one of which is why wasn't this reported, and they say they have to keep it top secret. And then she's saying, no, if he was dead, she would know it.
Yeah, she would, like, feel it or something.
You know, I don't know if there's, like, an implied, like, the love is so strong it's psychic, or what, but she is right the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, I could criticize that response to finding out a loved one is dead, but no, she is right.
No, she literally just has superpowers, yep.
They should use her to invade the UN.
Right?
Also, the idea of, like, attacking the UN specifically is... That's not something you can really do much anymore. It's probably not good to put that in your TV show for kids.
Probably not, no. But I don't think he was gonna attack. I think he was just gonna, like, show up with his laser gun and be like, blah, blah.
Yeah, he's gonna show up, but yeah, look threatening. It was a fake attack, but still, the idea of going to the UN at the specific time when everyone would be there and leaving.
Yeah.
Yvette does her favorite activity in the world, which is go to the maternity store. And she bought stuff. Even though she's very much not showing.
And she just, like, happens to leave a box from the store on the little desk in the waiting area or wherever they are.
Yeah, I don't want to be, like, rude or anything, but, like, I feel like this is a top secret facility. Okay, maybe you're allowed the wife of an employee to come in. Maybe after he is deceased, you maybe limit access a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's heartless of me, but they are really, like, they're doing everything in the next room over. Like, if a door wasn't closed properly, or if he screamed or something, like, it would all be over.
But I think they were just, I mean, surgeons were probably smoking in the surgery theater. Like, I think they were just very lax back then.
Yeah.
But in this particular situation where, you know, you're wanting to keep the fact that he's still alive a secret, yeah, you think you would revoke her access to the building or something.
While she is right there, the doctors are doing the organ surgery on him, including combining the esophagus and trachea into one tube, and
I'm sure that's good for you.
Changing the iron in his blood to copper. So that's fun. Once again, he should have been well and truly dead by this point.
Yeah.
This is 1960s medical technology.
I mean, I don't want to keep being like, that's a little silly, because, you know, sci-fi story, suspension of disbelief. But I'm just like, how in the world would you ever do that? Any of this?
Yeah, they're like a decade removed from lobotomies, if that.
Yeah. Like, there's no way someone could survive having their esophagus fused to their whatever.
Yeah, well, he's resilient, and that's why they couldn't use old people.
Yeah, fine.
Now, at this point, Alan has already developed scales on his skin.
Yeah, he's looking pretty fucked up.
Yeah, he looks really exhausted as well. Like, they cast really well for a man that just looks like he's fed up with life and wants to die. Like, he's really good at that.
Yeah, he did a good job.
We also see that his vision is getting worse. We get some POV shots that fuck up everything. So, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And Alan finally breaks down I would have broken down the second they put me in the pressure machine, but
Yep, I would have been like, never mind, I'm out. No thanks.
yeah, the world isn't worth this.
Look, we can make like, I don't know, like a dummy alien and just throw it in there and hope for the best. I'm not doing this.
Get like a movie studio to make a prop. That's all you need.
Yeah, back then especially.
Now, Alan is very delirious, and he keeps attacking Philip, and he's just basically out of his mind. Also, it's worth noting, they don't dwell on this right now, but if you look closely, he has 4 fingers on each hand.
Oh yeah, I noticed that. Like, 2 of his fingies are fused together now.
And, like, they don't dwell on it, so this is, like, one of... And obviously people weren't, like, VCRing this and pausing it. That's basically a detail that you could very easily miss, and I'm kind of impressed they put the time into doing that.
Yeah, I mean, the makeup was pretty impressive. It was cool.
Pinky and ring finger turned into a single giant glob.
It was very uncomfortable looking. Like, felt bad for him.
Yeah, he's not having his best day.
But yeah, he's just kind of like yelling nonsense and jumping up on the tables like a little gremlin.
And he unleashes that boxed alien, which, with the beauty of high definition, we can very clearly see has lots of strings.
Yeah, it's like a cute little puppet thing.
He's gone mad. And then he gets a fucking X-ray and threatens to shoot them with it.
Yeah, threatens to irradiate them to death.
And then he picks up a phone to call his wife.
Yeah, and he's all like, I want to talk to my son!
And they all, like, jump on top of him and stop him, but his wife can hear something in the background.
Yeah.
And because she's psychic or something, she knows that's him.
She got that theta baby.
Oh, see, that's another good theory. The baby just knows because its dad is, like, fucked up as well.
Yeah.
We need, like, a sequel episode about the fucked up baby.
Yeah. Like, that baby's got to be at least a little fucked up.
One thing the 90s Outer Limits does that I really like is they will have multiple episodes, even seasons apart, that are still the same continuity.
Oh, that's cool.
There was an episode about fucked up babies. And then, like, the next season, there was an episode about what if those fucked up babies grew up into be, like, teenagers and young adults.
Fucked up teenagers and adults.
And they have, like, entirely different actors and characters and everything, but it's the same world. And I like that. So this...
That's so cool.
The original show needed, like, the second season to have the baby is fucked up and getting bullied at school or something episode.
Yeah, the what happened to the fucked up baby episode.
Yeah, with his backwards knees.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
And this is just me in editing saying I meant to mention that there was a 90s Outer Limits episode called The Afterlife, which isn't a direct remake of this, but it shares lots of the same concepts, where people experiment on a man and turn him into an alien. Now, you can't say that I didn't include this.
But, you know, props to the doctors in this scene. They, like, kept their cool, dude. I'd be shitting myself.
I don't think there's enough payment that you could give me to put up before this.
Oh, hell nah. I'd be going home.
And I feel like, even before this, I'd be having nightmares constantly for fusing a guy's, like, trachea to another part of his body. Like,
yeah, this is... Like, even if he has consented to it, sure. But it's just so scary and unethical. Like, I would have tapped out.
imagine, like, the amount of, like, non-disclosure things you've got to sign for this.
Right?
Anyway, he wakes up days later, and they tell him that, oh, they had to sedate him. He's been out for a while. And he was like, oh, I thought I dreamt all that. So yeah, he's more lucid now, but...
Yeah, he's still not feeling good. But they're just like, oh, it was just a hormone thing. Don't worry, won't happen again. Pat, pat.
The normal procedure for changing someone's entire body.
Uh-huh.
Something I love about this episode, which you're not getting from just listening to us talk about it, is it's a very gradual change, and there's so many, like, small steps along the way.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
He does become, like, literally unrecognizable by the end of it, but he is definitely a ways into it now.
Yeah, I think they do, like, some legit impressive kind of body horror stuff as it goes on. Because I know, like, you can see his face for a second when they're doing the surgery with his esophagus where like his face is starting to have like tubes growing out of it and his mouth's all fucked up. It's really cool.
So, they're prepping him for surgery again, and our favorite character, Yvette, shows up, and she has a feeling that Alan's actually at this facility, because she knows everything. Philip tells her, hey, you've got to leave. You have a baby on the way. Focus on that and just stop coming here all the time.
Yeah, and they're very cagey about keeping the door closed, being very suspicious.
Yeah, but also, that's normal surgery procedure, I imagine.
Well, yeah, sure, but just the way they're, like, trying to block her from seeing in there, like, don't worry, he's not in there.
Yeah, and she doesn't want to know that right now he is there getting his lungs replaced with an artificial one.
Yeah. Doubt that would make her very happy.
No. So we cut to later, where this is one of the final Allens will get to experience, because he's basically hidden behind a partition, because he is basically... he'd be indescribable right now.
Yeah.
He has a voice box to help him, like a computerized voice box to help him communicate, and really all we can see is a silhouette. He says it's weird to speak without movement. So try to imagine everything he's saying, because he's saying that he has bizarre nerve patterns, like he'll get a toothache in his arm, or his eyeballs will itch in the back of his neck.
Yeah, it's honestly a pretty unnerving scene, just like him talking all weird and robotic from behind this partition, and the doctor's just looking all freaked out, like...
And we can't see it, so at this stage it's just our imagination filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
And then he says that he had deep depression during this, but it's lifting now.
What?
He didn't like doing all this.
You're telling me this whole thing was a bummer?
But now he's in limbo and his thoughts are primitive. So even his brain is not what it should be.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, you guys definitely should have pulled the plug, because if he's talking like, oh, my brain is like becoming primitive, then chances are he would drop in the UN and just go ham on everyone. Like, I feel like it could only backfire at this point.
But he's still dreaming of his wife. His very pregnant wife.
Yes, very pregnant wife.
Who's got to be like, maybe like 3 weeks along at this stage.
Yeah.
I feel like at this stage, it would just be like, oh, I skipped a month of my period. Like...
Yeah. Like, she is not showing at all.
I don't want to say she's lying, but, I feel like you need more proof.
Yeah. Again, we don't know how much time has passed.
Also, especially if your husband is like, hey, what if I had to leave and never come back? Maybe she's been lying the whole time to keep him.
Oh yeah, keep him around. Keep him away from his suspected second family.
I will believe her, even if she has no evidence.
Yeah, there's nothing in the episode suggesting that she's lying or anything.
No, nothing.
It's just funny that she's not showing at all.
Unless this is the other way around, and the whole episode took place over a year, and she's already had the baby and is now lost that weight.
See, that's what I was thinking when he like called her when he was freaking out and was like, I want to talk to my son. I just like assumed it's been so long she already had the baby and he knew it was a boy.
That's a possibility. I just kind of assumed that maybe she just wanted her to put the phone to her stomach.
Well, they say she's still pregnant.
Maybe she's pregnant a second time. Maybe she moved on.
Oh no. It's been like a day.
Think of all the surgeries he's had in a single day. This poor man. Mm-hmm. The people here say, okay, we'll send you up into orbit as a weather satellite, and then we'll use, retro rockets to move you to the UN. The government doesn't know any of this, for what it's worth, so...
Yeah,
this is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, we'll give you a laser weapon for an emergency only. Maybe don't give him the laser weapon.
Yeah, what emergency are you, anticipating? That they all just open fire on him? You want him to just kill everybody in the UN? I don't know.
Well, it gives us a cool special effect later.
That's true. It is a really cool special effect.
Now, Alan asks if they think that this will really work, and Philip replies, there are no absolutes, but he puts the probability of success at about 70 to 80%.
That is crazy.
It is crazy, but he says millions of soldiers have gone into battle in wars of hate, with less odds and with less cause.
Yes, that's very dramatic and beautiful, but like you're telling me, you could have at least lied to him. Like you've ruined his entire life and turned him into a freaky alien. At least tell him it's definitely gonna work, guy. Don't worry.
Regardless, Alan says that he needed to hear that and thanked him for his, this is likely to work.
It'll probably be fine.
What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, I wonder.
Now we cut to later, and the news is talking about a rocket entering the atmosphere. And the group from before, which includes the Asian man and the black man, who just get to sit there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're looking at a monitor watching progress, and they're saying Alan is not on target to the UN.
Oh no.
And that it seems like he's going to the lab and they'll meet him. Now, I'm curious, did you think that he meant to go to the lab, or was it was like a accidental, they didn't, this just fucked up?
I mean, I assumed it. Well, I don't know. I'm kind of like, I go back and forth on it, because when they were showing him the ship, they were like, oh, learn the controls, suggesting that he was supposed to be flying this thing in some way. But then they're like, oh, it's on a already planned trajectory, so I just assumed something went wrong. Not that he did it on purpose.
I initially thought that, and then on this rewatch, I kind of assumed, I went to the lab because that's the main place that happens. It's right next to the maternity shop that his wife's always at.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would buy that he did it on purpose, because again, he was not in his right mind, and maybe we shouldn't be doing this, Yeah,
it's a little problematic what's happening.
Yeah.
But he lands at the soon-to-be often repeated lake with the tall grass, and there are some people hunting here, just like there were in the last episode. Alan pops out and uses his laser gun to destroy the car that the hunters have.
Yeah, it just vaporizes it.
We get to see what a Thetan looks like.
It's not great.
It's not great by human standards, but this is great by practical effects of TV budgets of the 60s.
Oh yeah, it rules. Like his little eyeballs blinking.
Yeah, this is, I think, the most complicated. I don't know if it's the best creature design in this series. I've shown you those scary little bug monsters with the fucked up faces.
Oh yeah, obviously nothing's going to beat that.
No, but I don't know if it's the best, but this is the most complicated in terms
elaborate.
of... Yeah, exactly. This is fucked up, and I'll tell you more about... In some ways, they tortured a man in real life to get this effect.
Oh, God. Of course they did.
But, Alan is this weird... I don't even know how to describe it. He looks like a fucked up alien. Sort of crab-like.
He's got, these big ol' eyes, and he has, tubes coming out of a weird mouth thing.
His knees are backwards, I think. Yeah.
He's got really long arms.
In both a move I like and hate, they don't really show him too much. He's usually, obscured. Probably so we don't realize, this is just a guy in a suit. They do it well, but also, I want to see it properly.
Yeah, I want to see the whole guy.
And if you were watching this back in 1963, you might not have even seen the guy at all. More on that soon. So you gotta stick with us. You can't just stop listening as soon as I finish the synopsis.
We've got good shit. No, I read about this. I think I know what you're talking about.
Oh. So the hunter shoots Alan, and somehow his wife just knows this and asks for a cab to go to the lab.
No, it cuts from him getting shot and, recoiling to, her recoiling. She got shot, suggesting she is, in fact, feeling his pain. It's wild.
Yeah, the pregnant alien baby theory, I kind of love now, but,
yeah.
I'm sure it's just meant to be that they're soulmates. It's true love.
They're soulmates, yeah. That's probably it, but I like fucked up baby theory, so.
If you, stub your toe, does Josh know instantly?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you feel each other's horrible pain.
Now, Yvette is in the lab, and she sees the boxed alien. And what we see is Alan limping into the lab with his fucked up body, as I described it here.
Yeah, you see his little backwardsy knees and his super long arms.
Oh, walking downstairs like that would suck.
Yeah, I would.
Because he had to walk down the stairs for the lab. And not only that, he's been shot at, so, like, even on top of his physiology, this would be uncomfortable. It is fascinating to know that the lab is that close to a place hunters would hunt at.
Yeah, this is a really questionable lab placement.
You got the maternity store, the lab, and then the hunting grounds right next to each other.
Yeah, it's convenient.
This is a walkable city. You might not have an understanding of that.
Yeah. Definitely not.
So, Alan just dies in front of Yvette, presumably because he was shot at, and he's been using all his energy to come back to the lab. And once again, they don't explain it, and I'm glad, like, they don't need to explain it. You can theorize why he was going here. We never find out, and it doesn't matter. Alan's life was a waste. He died accomplishing nothing.
Yeah. Very bleak.
This is a bummer of an episode.
Oh yeah, but Yvette, like, recognizes him because they did this thing earlier where they, like, poked each other in the forehead and was like, protect, what was it?
Mark against evil.
Mark against evil, that's it. And he did that right before he died, and she was like, oh no. It was sad.
I'm glad they did the Mark against evil thing a bunch in the episode, because if she just knew that this was Alan without any, like, evidence, like, I don't think true love could get me that far.
Yeah, that wouldn't make very much sense.
But no, it's definitely him, and he dies in front of her, and she's a little bit unhappy about this.
Yeah.
All the other evil board members are here, and they're basically saying, like, why'd you do this? You killed him, and for what? And we have a narrator.
Yeah, it's almost like this was a stupid plan or something.
The heart was in the right place. Alan's wasn't. His was, like, behind his spine or something, but they wanted to do the right thing. War is bad, but, they basically tortured a man and let him die. And nothing was accomplished, so good on them.
For no reason.
And then we have the narrator basically close the episode by saying something along the lines of, people need to be nice to each other and not lie.
Yeah, it's like they try to make it have a lesson other than, man, this shit was fucked up. But it's like, oh, what lesson are we supposed to take from this?
Don't turn people into aliens.
Yeah, I think it was trying to say something like, oh, you can't, like, force people to get along. People have to be good and, like, want to do that. And it's like, I don't think that's the lesson I'm taking from this episode.
Also, don't air this 1 week after the Evil Asian Empire episode. I'm getting mixed messages from you, Outer Limits. Yeah,
a little bit confusing.
Now, I'll just remind everyone that we are on social media. I'm on Blue Sky at sci-frightsone.bsy.social, and my personal account is at freezer.bsy.social.
Yes, and I am at birdwoman.geekcritique.org on Blue Sky.
And we're also on YouTube as well, at Sci-Fright Zone, which you're most likely listening to this on, but we're also on the podcasting apps that no one's probably using. I see the stats. I know no one's listening.
We're gonna blow up any day now.
Yeah, maybe next week.
Hell yeah.
But it's time to rank this episode, and it's your turn to go first.
Oh jeezums. Well, shit.
There's no wrong okay, there's some wrong answers, but...
I mean, other than, like, my nitpicks about how they were kind of dumb, the story they were trying to tell was really effective. Like, the body horror stuff was really fucked up. What happened to Alan was really tragic. I mean, I'd probably give it an A.
I'm glad. I think before we started recording, or maybe at the start, you said this was your favorite Outer Limits, and I would have reminded you about 100 Days of a Dragon you gave an A to.
Yeah.
So, I would have been petty about that and just reminded you, but no, I'm glad you gave this an A. I gave it an A. When it comes to episodes of a show, I think this is in the short list of ones that people really remember.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the best or anything. There are episodes I certainly like more than this.
It was really solid, though.
This was the episode that while watching it, I was like, oh, this show can be really good, and more than The Galaxy Being or The Manchurian Candidate, but different.
Mm-hmm.
This was The Watchmen, but different.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this is where things are starting to come together.
Yeah, no, we have a string of episodes coming up that are all very memorable. Some more so than others, but the next chunk of episodes are ones I'm very excited to talk about, and I'm hoping you like at least most of them.
Oh, I'm sure I will.
We're still a few episodes away from the scary bug monsters I showed you, but...
Oh, but I'm so excited.
Yeah, you have to stick with it until we get to that.
Of course.
But, we both gave this an A, which is nice, because last time we both gave Where Is Everybody a B, so we've been on... And the time before that, we both gave The Dead Man and The Housekeeper a B and an A, respectively, so we've basically been agreeing with each other lately, and I am sure that will change next week. Because Night Gallery is always an unpredictable mess.
Yeah, Night Gallery is a great time, but yeah, all over the place.
I am fairly confident that at least one of these episodes, if not two of them, you might not be the biggest fan of for Night Gallery.
Well, we'll see how it goes.
This was the first episode of a show to be fully produced by Joseph Stefano. Now, I mentioned him earlier. He was the screenwriter for the Psycho movie. And he was the guy that they basically had to sell this to networks, saying he's working on the show.
Oh, yeah.
So please let this be a success. This was, before this, he had just been credited so then TV networks would like him and like the show. But this is the first one he really worked on. And he has a style, and this episode is definitely of that style. Are you familiar? I know the answer to this, but are you familiar with the Outer Limits trading cards of 1964?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
So these trading cards were officially licensed, but they were written by people that didn't work on the show. And it seems like what would happen is they would get images of the monsters from the episodes, and they would basically fan fiction descriptions of it based on how it would look.
Oh my god.
Instead of being based on the episode.
That's like your whole job.
Yeah, but it's also funny. Alan, as a big alien near the end of the episode, with his fucked up fingers and tube face, he is on 2 of the cards. He is on number 4, Terror from Space, and number 5, Man from Galaxy X.
Oh, okay.
Traveling at the speed of light in its journey from one galaxy to another, a space vehicle is forced to land on Earth for emergency repairs. The space traveler with a highly developed mind knows he will appear as a terrifying alien to any Earthman that sees him. Yet curiosity overcomes the creature, and he starts exploring his surroundings before returning to a space vehicle.
Oh dear.
And then the next card, this is the highlight. A visitor from a far-off galaxy explores Earth while his damaged space vehicle is being repaired. The alien watches as the tiny Earth creatures work in peace and harmony, building a community of homes for themselves. Returning to his spaceship, the man from Galaxy X is pleased at having seen such cooperation between the Earthlings. Alien took off in his spaceship, never realizing that he has been watching a colony of ants and not human beings.
Oh my god.
You can see these beautiful cards that kids in 1964 were trying to collect. There were 50 of them.
That's horrific.
I love it.
That's not even remotely correct.
Yeah.
I love them, though. Look at his fucked up little face.
Yeah, there were 50 of them. Unfortunately, not every episode will have one of these.
Boo!
Some episodes have got, many multiple. I think one of them has, 7 cards to fill in its entire story.
Jesus Christ.
But yeah, there wasn't any for the Galaxy Being, and there wasn't any for Man That plastic his face, but
I can't imagine why.
whenever we get to one of these, I just have to show you because they are beautiful works of art.
Yeah, that's incredible. The stories are adorable.
And that would be like an impossible episode to film because you give away the plot twist immediately.
Yeah, right?
But no, they're fun. That's what they are. They don't care about not making sense.
They're very fun. Yeah, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing such beautiful pieces of art.
They're wonderful. It's just weird to think like anything was a card series back then.
I know.
Like, do you want to collect baseball cards? No, I want to collect fucked up monsters from that TV show.
Yeah, I want some weird little dudes.
The story that you probably heard earlier is some of ABC's local affiliates thought that the alien was too scary, so whenever it was on screen, they would just show black.
Yeah.
They would do that, basically ruining the entire, like, climax of the episode.
Yeah, that sucks.
And they would show the alien later on, I think, like, after 10 or 11 at night. Basically, like, hey, if you want to see some fucked up stuff, you gotta stay up late. And then people saw that and were like, oh, that's it? That's not even that scary. So, like, it kind of backfired on them.
Yeah, like, it's weird, but it's not that bad.
TV reviewers back in the day didn't like The Outer Limits. It was doing very poorly critically.
Boo.
And they said that this was just a show for little kids who like space cadets, and it wasn't real science fiction.
Oh, dear. Well, this episode was definitely not for kids. Oh, my God.
One reviewer said, "The Outer Limits will never get control of my TV ever again."
Damn. Got him.
And people were harsh back then. Nothing pleased them. Despite this episode basically having the most complicated monster suit you might ever see in the show, this was the first episode to come in on schedule and under budget.
Really? Oh my God.
Maybe that's why we have, like, 2 sets.
Probably. All the money went into the cool puppet.
The original title for this episode was Mark Against Evil, which I think I like more, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, that's cute.
It would be even harder for you to have guessed what the episode was about based on that title.
Oh no, yeah, wouldn't have even remotely gotten close. Nope.
Once again, in a you couldn't make that nowadays, which I guess is a recurring segment, like how Last Outer Limits was about killing the president in 1963.
Oops.
The original plan for this episode was for the spaceship to crash into a skyscraper in New York City.
Oh.
Yeah. I think the budget was the main reason why they didn't do that.
Yeah. Bullet dodged. Jesus.
I mean, they couldn't have known.
No way. It's just, man. Yeah, that's wild.
Unless a shadowy board of people planned that as well.
Yeah.
Which for legal reasons is a joke, and I'm just clarifying that.
It's a joke.
Now, the Thetan suit, it was worn by an acrobatic stuntman. Because they needed someone who could basically move around in a fucked up way. His legs were weird.
Yeah, with weird shit.
Inside the suit, if you're wearing the suit, it is very, very hot. And the actor said it smelled of glue fumes in the head.
Oh no. He's getting high in there.
It took ages to film his scenes because he was basically like sweating to death and had glue fumes.
Oh God. Poor dude.
And whenever they would let him come out for some air, every time he was soaking in sweat and heaving.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah, God knows what he was breathing in there.
And I'll just let you know, the stuntman in question, his name, I believe, is pronounced as Janos Prohaska. He was, you know, a pretty prolific monster character actor for stuff back then.
Yeah.
He was in 4 Star Trek episodes. He was also in, like, Bewitched, as, like, a gorilla and stuff. He was even in one of the Planet of the Apes movies. So yeah, he was good at being a guy in a suit. And it sounds like that was a horrible life.
Yeah, back then especially, I bet.
But to get to the other actors, the ones who had the glory of actually getting to see their faces on screen and not being stuck in a torture device.
Yeah.
We have Robert Culp, who played Alan Layton. He is probably most famous for being in a show called I Spy in the 60s. He played Kelly Robinson.
Huh.
Are you familiar with it?
No, I mean, I think I've heard of it, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it either. And I'm going to mention a terrible person's name, but
Oh dear.
the historical context is very important. He starred in the show with Bill Cosby in his breakout role, which was the first weekly dramatic series to star an African American. So once again, terrible man, historically incredibly significant.
Yeah, important.
That's unfortunate, but
Yeah, but it's still important.
in terms, that was probably incredibly meaningful to people back then. People wouldn't have known. He was also in The Greatest American Hero as one of the leads, Bill Maxwell. That's the show that has the I'm Walking on Air theme song. I've never seen it, I just know the theme song. And, most importantly to you, have you ever played the Half-Life video games?
I have.
He is Dr. Wallace Breen in Half-Life 2 and its episodes.
What? Really? That's so cool. I had no idea.
Which I can't believe. And that's a very significant character in Half-Life. And also another man who is kind of controlling the planet's destiny with aliens.
Yeah. That's so cool.
I'm glad you said you'd played Half-Life. Because if you didn't, this would have been really sad to be like, he was in 3 things that you don't really know anything about.
Yeah, no, I definitely know the last one.
He also, most importantly, he's in 3 Outer Limits episodes, which I'm sure is the most important thing.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately, we're not going to have any hat tricks with this.
Oh, sad.
Leonard Stone played Philip Gaynor. He played Mr. Beauregard in the 1970s Willy Wonka movie.
Oh. Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, he was that piece of shit's dad.
Yeah, the terrible enabler guy.
I'm just saying this for my sake, and you can just cover your ears for a minute. Hal Boker, who played Bert, the 3rd hunter in the episode. His last role before passing away was a groundskeeper in an episode of Quantum Leap called Goodnight Dear Heart, which is a fan favorite despite being an unintentionally problematic episode.
Oh, God.
It's a good episode.
I believe it.
It's just the villain happens to be a lesbian. And this is at a time when, there weren't great roles for lesbians in TV.
Yeah, that sucks.
No one cares about this, but
I care.
In the 90s, they did Quantum Leap comic books. And one of the comic books is a sequel to that episode about that character after leaving prison and finishing her sentence. And she becomes one of the people to help in the Stonewall movement. So they did a sequel comic written by, I believe, a gay man to basically show that this character isn't irredeemable. She just made a little bit of murder happen. Yeah. But she did good afterwards after paying her debt.
It's cool they did that. So they got to fix it at least a little bit.
It's a great episode. It's just we don't live in a vacuum where...
Yeah, exactly.
Especially in 1990 when it came out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have Murray Polak, who played uncredited scientist. He will also appear in 6 Twilight Zone episodes as uncredited.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I'm sure you remember him. He was the scientist. But one scientist in the episode, maybe.
Of course.
He has no picture on IMDb, like most of the actors in this episode.
Yeah, my favorite guy, scientist.
That's it for the Outer Limits, but next time we have to return to Night Gallery. And I want you to tell me what happens in Room with a View, The Little Black Bag, and The Nature of the Enemy.
Okay.
So, what happens in Room with a View?
Oh, fuck. Okay, you gotta get weird with it.
Also, I'm just gonna let you know that this is a 50-minute TV episode, and they're cramming 3 stories into that. So some might get shortchanged a bit.
No way.
They're not going to be as all fleshed out as, The Dead Man and the Housekeeper. That was 2 episodes sharing 50 minutes, and then the TV movie was an hour and a half, and they had 3. So just imagine them crunching down lots of stuff into a time frame, and you might be a little unsatisfied. So what happens in Room with a View?
Ugh. Okay. Room with a View. It's a post-apocalyptic world where this guy is trapped in his house, and all he has to pass the time by watching the view from their window. And I don't know, maybe he sees something fucked up, like a weird little mutant man or something. And he's like, oh no, the weird little mutant man's gonna get me.
And it looks just like the monster from this episode. Now, what about the little black bag? Which I remember being my favorite of these 3 segments.
Maybe it's like, okay, you know that story with the girl who has the green ribbon tied around her neck her entire life? And then, like, right when she dies, she unties it and her head falls off, and they're like, oh, that's why. Maybe it's something like that. Maybe the bag has the owner's soul in it or some shit, and they have to always carry it around or they'll die.
I am pretty sure the Little Black Bag episode is based on, like, a short story, and I was really scared for a second that you were going to be like, you know that story? And then you described it perfectly.
Oh. I highly doubt I got anywhere close, but that's what I'm sticking with.
And then the nature of the enemy, one that you will not be able to predict. And if you do, I will PayPal you $50 if you can get it exactly right with no mistakes.
There's no way in hell I'm gonna get this right.
There's a chance. You know, there's infinite universes out there.
Well, sure. Okay, nature of the enemy.
This isn't a Christmas episode, but this did come out December 23rd. This, you know, people would have seen this right before Christmas. A nice night gallery treat to put you in the Christmas mood. But yeah, the nature of the enemy.
Okay, maybe it's like a predator situation where these people are trapped on like an alien planet in the woods somewhere, and there's a freaky alien thing hunting them down, and they have to like figure out how to beat it, figure out its weaknesses. They have to learn the nature of the enemy, if you will.
You're not right. So you're not getting the $50, but some of the words you said relate a little.
Yay!
We now return control of your podcatcher to you. Until next time, when the control voice takes you back to the Sci-Fright Zone.